Yeah, a friend of mine and I were talking the other day, and we were talking about the current state of comic book movies and things like that. And it kind of came up in the discussion that, Avengers Endgame was such a monstrous, monumental comic book film. I mean, it was for a short time the highest grossing movie in the history of cinema until, of course, the first Avatar re-released again and took back the top spot. But it is still easily the top grossing comic book film of all time. It was the culmination of a decade plus long build up to the whole thing. And we were talking, saying, you know what? It's almost like you could almost break down the history of comic book films, you know, BA, what do we call it? BAE and AAE, before Avengers Endgame and after Avengers Endgame. And we started getting into this little discussion about, what do we think are some of the best comic book movies since Endgame came out? And with that discussion flew into what do we think are the worst comic book movies that have come out since Endgame. So for the purposes of this video here, we're going to run down the 10 best comic book films since Endgame. Now, look, any list of best of films, everybody's list is going to look different. All right. So I don't want to hear from anybody. How could you possibly put that at number 6 when it clearly should be number 7? I don't want to hear any of that. Everybody's list is going to look a little bit different. I am simply here to present to you my list of the 10 best comic book films since Endgame as a starting point for discussion. So you guys can discuss it, talk about it, break it down, give me your lists down in the comments section below. So that's what we're going to do right now. Let's jump into it with the 10 best comic book films since Endgame. We're going to start at number 10, and this is going to be a little bit of a controversial one, but Eternals. Directed by Chloe Zhao, the Academy Award-winning director, Chloe Zhao. This is a film that was a very different film for Marvel. It was a hugely different kind of Marvel film. It was different. The tone of it was different. The structure of it was different. All that kind of stuff. It was also a very long film. And while the early boasts coming out of Marvel that this may be the best movie that Marvel's ever done did not quite live up to that hype, I thought the movie was thoughtful. It had wonderful characters. I quite enjoyed it. Actually, I remember when me and Robert Meyer Burnett went to go see it together at an early screening, and Rob was just blown away by it. I thought it was really, really quite a good film. So it is my number 10 best comic book film since Endgame. At number 9, we've got Shazam. I love this movie. I really love this movie. Directed by David S. Sandberg, who of course got his start by making that short little YouTube horror film, Lights Out. He went on to make a full-length feature film version of that, and for some reason they thought he was the right guy to direct Shazam. But you know what? The decision was a great one. It worked out wonderful. I thought this was a charming, one of the best DCEU movies, actually. I've definitely got in my top 5 of my favorite DCEU movies. I just thought it was charming, fun, delightful. Really had a good time with that film. All right. That was number 9. At number 8, we're going with James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. I am actually a fan of the original Suicide Squad. I know the first Suicide Squad was a bit of a hot mess. I know it was. And all the music video editing they did to it. Yes. I get it. And I don't necessarily disagree. But at the end of the day, that first one I thought was entertaining. But this new one, the James Gunn one, was just a different level. The humor was better. The action was better. The characters were better. The emotions were better. I mean, I never would have thought beginning watching this film that I would get almost teary-eyed hearing the story of a character called Ratcatcher. And yet there I was, and a movie with a character called Polka Dot Man. Who could take that seriously? One of the most emotional moments I've ever seen in a comic book movie was a CGI animated shark sitting in a van looking outside and seeing a couple holding hands and kissing each other. And then you could just, it just hit you so hard. I love Suicide Squad. That's my number 8. Okay. Moving on now to number 7. I've got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, just out in theaters recently. I absolutely, like most people, completely adore the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I quite like the second Guardians of the Galaxy, but I thought it was a little bit of a step down from the first one. But Guardians of the Galaxy 3, right back on it. Again, great emotion to it, a lot more than I thought there would be. The humor was incredible. I think it was the first F-bomb dropped in the MCU, and it was used, chef's kiss, perfectly. Also, turning around a lot of the financial fates of a lot of the comic book films. This movie's already closing in on $850 million. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Gunn's swan song in the MCU before going over to DC. All right. At number 6, we've got The Flash. Now, I know this is going to be a divisive one too. There are people out there who don't like The Flash. I unabashedly love this film. Now, clearly, I've said for a long time that Ezra Miller should never be allowed to play Flash again, all that kind of stuff, but it is what it is, taking the movie on its own merits. I could not believe how good of a time I had watching this film at CinemaCon about a month and a half ago. I absolutely loved it. I liked it even more the second time I saw it. Michael Keaton as Batman was absolutely fantastic. I loved the new Supergirl in it. Just a big fan of it. It was superhero filmmaking. You know what I mean? It was grand in scope, funny in moments. I'm not a big fan of multiverse stuff, but the stuff they used, seeing the two Barrys together on screen was a lot of fun. So for me, that's at number 6. So far, we got at number 10, Eternals, number 9, Shazam, number 8, Suicide Squad, the James Gunn version. Number 7, another James Gunn film, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. At number 6, The Flash. We move on to number 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. This is a movie that could have flown off the rails fairly easily. I mean, this was a big, ambitious film. You start bringing in all the different Peter Parkers, you start bringing in a bunch of the traditional villains that they had in the old films and all that kind of stuff. There are so many ways that this movie could have gone wrong. But John Watts, who has done such a great job directing these MCU Spider-Man films, just delivered again. A wonderful, wonderful film, and one of the highest grossing box office comic book films of all time. I think it ended up, I don't have my numbers in front of me, but I think it ended up at something like $1.9 billion, something like that. Absolutely incredible. At number 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. We move into number 4, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, I don't think many people are going to have Shang-Chi as high on the list as I am, but for whatever reason, when I saw this movie for the first time, it was the first time in a long time that I actually came out of the theater kind of shaking. I was so thoroughly entertained by this movie. I came out kind of shaking, and it's been a while since I came out of a movie like that. I'm a big fan of Simu Liu. Obviously, maybe a little bit of bias here because he's a good Canadian kid, so I like seeing that in there as well. Dude from Kim's Convenience, why not? But I mean, Awkwafina was a huge surprise to me. There was a long time where I really didn't get the appeal of Awkwafina, but I've been warming up to her a lot in the last couple of years, and then she was absolutely perfect for her role in Shang-Chi. The martial arts were great. You had one of the best MCU villains in Wenwu. I mean, I just absolutely adored this movie, loved it. So I've got it higher than probably most of you do, but I've got it very firmly up there in the number 4 spot. All right. In the number 3 spot, Joker. I mean, this was probably the most successful comic book movie at the Academy Awards ever, in the fact that it was nominated for Best Picture, and only a couple of comic book films have ever done that, but it also won the major award of Best Lead Actor for Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker. One of the things I loved about this movie was it didn't feel like a comic book movie at all. And in many ways, you can make the argument that it's not. But just the serious approach, real world issues, the tone of it, an award-winning performance by your lead. I mean, this was just such a great viewing experience. Disturbing in many ways, which kind of added to the experience for me as well. Now, look, I don't know where you go with this. It was clearly planned to be a one-shot film, never again. But when your movie gets nominated for Best Picture, wins the Academy Award for Best Lead Actor, and makes over $1 billion at the box office, yeah, the plans of it's just a one-shot kind of go out the window. And now we've got a sequel coming with Lady Gaga in it. And it's going to be great. But my number 3 best comic book film since Endgame is Joker, which shouldn't surprise anybody that moving into number 2 would be a not so connected but companion movie. Matt Reeves is the Batman. Now look, just like I am a Henry Cavill is Superman guy, and I'm excited about the new casting as well. I am, but to me, Henry Cavill is Superman. He's my favorite Superman. Ben Affleck is actually my favorite Batman. He is. And when they announced Twilight Boy was going to play Batman, a lot of people were upset. But I was like, you know what? The only reason those people are upset because they haven't seen the movies this guy's been doing for the last 10 years. He's been making some magnificent cinema, and Matt Reeves is Matt Reeves. Come on, would I prefer Ben Affleck directing a Batman movie? Yes, but if it can't be Ben Affleck, I was super happy that it was going to be Matt Reeves. And they just turned in a magnificent film. Forget comic book film. They turned in a magnificent film. I love this movie. And everything from the music and Gotham. Like I remember watching The Dark Knight, and I'm not saying this movie is better than The Dark Knight, right? Okay. But I remember when I saw The Dark Knight, I remember thinking, man, no one is ever going to make Gotham feel like the way Christopher Nolan makes it feel like Gotham. Well, I'll say that one way that The Batman even exceeds The Dark Knight is how Matt Reeves made Gotham a living, breathing character in this movie. I loved it. Everything from your Alfred to obviously the incredible turn of Colin Farrell as Penguin, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I mean, it just all, and then Paul Dano as a new kind of iteration of Riddler. It was incredible. And I cannot wait to see this Penguin TV series with Colin Farrell as well. So that's my number 2. And if you guys watch me for any period of time, you know what the number 1 is. And it's in theaters right now, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The follow-up to the 2018 film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, a movie that, by the way, came out in 2018, Into the Spider-Verse, same year as Avengers Infinity War and same year as Black Panther, a movie that got nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. And I think Into the Spider-Verse was the best comic book movie of that year. So clearly, I was pretty damn excited. About Across the Spider-Verse, and this movie exceeded my expectations in every single way. This is a movie that will get nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. I think that'll make it probably the third, because I only think Joker and Black Panther have been nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. There might have been a third one in there, but I think that was it. But I think Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse is going to be that really weird combo. It is an animated film, which will make it only the 4th animated film in history to be nominated for Best Picture. And it's a comic book movie, which will make it only, I believe, the 3rd comic book movie in history to be nominated. But yeah, for me, the best comic book movie since Endgame is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So to recap, at number 10, Eternals. At number 9, Shazam. At number 8, The Suicide Squad, the James Gunn iteration. At number 7, another James Gunn film, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. At number 6, The Flash. At number 5, we got Spider-Man No Way Home. At number 4, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. At number 3, Joker. At number 2, The Batman. And at number 1, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Guys, the question is for you. Like I said right off the top, any list is purely subjective and everybody's list will look a little bit different. But I want to know, what list would what would your list look like? What would your top 10, how would it shake down? What would be your number one? What would be, your number 10? What films maybe that I don't have on this list would you include on the list? What movies do I have on this list that maybe you would take off the list? Whatever your guys would look like, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks for checking out our video. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, but don't forget, we also have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today.